from my perspective, the decision has been made. I think that you know that I oppose the turn back, but at this point, I am, what I am doing is saying the decision's been made. I support the decision by the council, and we're going to move forward. So, sitting around debating whether we should have done it or shouldn't have done it really isn't going to accomplish anything at this point. What we need to do is look at what we're doing going forward, trying to unify the community and trying to, put some salve on some of the, bad feelings that are going on here. And so I'm looking for any way that I can to appeal for unification in the community where we can move forward and make the best of the decision. I think the point and the focus that we need to have right now is that we have the opportunity to develop that corridor into something that we can all be proud of. And so, let's pull together and take advantage of that opportunity and do that. And develop that corridor into something that reflects our environment. So that's what I would hope that all of you would join me in doing at this point. As you know, on February 22nd, the City Council voted to accept ownership of State Route 89A, which is just about 5 miles of roadway. ADOT has committed to supplying $10,650,550 to the city on April 11th. Okay, they had up until June 30th, but they have decided to move that time up to April 11th. So they will transfer those funds at that time. And within 24 hours of the transfer of those funds, the roadway will become the city property. ADOT at that point will bid a pavement preservation project by mid-April and is expected to complete the project by early 2012. The pavement preservation project will include a stretch of roadway approximately between the Ranger Road roundabout and 89A all the way up to just past Dry Creek Road. Okay, it won't be the entire 5 miles. They will also put out a bid for a signalized intersection at the corner of Andante and 89A, probably by mid-April, and we are expecting to have that completed by the end of 2011. Okay, so those two things. In terms of the overlay, not only will they be doing the pavement overlay, but they will also be installing bicycle lanes on both sides of the highway on 89A, which is, to me, is exciting. I'm glad to see that happen. So ADOT will pay the full cost in terms of the final settlement, the final negotiated settlement between the city and ADOT, which was $15,600,000 approximately. ADOT will be giving us $10,650,000, and then the rest of the balance will be in the form of the pavement overlay project, which is about $4.5 million, and then I'm just using round numbers. And then the Andante signal, which is what, 600 and something thousand?
The estimate was 400,000.
400,000.
More than that now, though.
Okay. So the only other thing at that point, once those two things are done and the money is transferred to the city, the only thing that will be left for ADOT to fulfill their contract is to apply with the city or help the city apply for a grant by 2015 in the amount of $250,000 that can be used for basically roadway enhancement projects, and that's really up to the city, but it has to be 89A. ADOT in the contract, ADOT has also stated that if we're unsuccessful in receiving the grant, then they will take the $250,000 out of ADOT funding and give it to the city. So we're quite assured that we will receive all of the money that has been promised in the contract. If for some reason ADOT fails to fulfill on this contract, then they have to take back ownership of the roadway, and the city should be able to get some kind of liquidated damages. Exactly what that would be, we don't know. Now, question comes to mind. We have an issue of a recall and a referendum and initiative going on. How is this going to impact us going forward? The answer is we don't know. It's kind of unprecedented, in this kind of situation. So really, it's going to come down to if the referendum is successful, and the city is going to already own the roadway. I mean, that transfer will have taken place as of April 12th. So what happens if the citizens are successful in a referendum and an initiative which overturns the council decision? And all we can do is speculate about that. I'm willing to go on record as saying that my assumption is that ADOT would initiate a forced turnback on the city. And I wouldn't be surprised that they would initiate a forced turnback and say, we're not going to give you any money. So I have a real concern about that, and that's personal. That's, that is not the position of the city. That's just my opinion. But ADOT has made it very clear that it would be their policy if the city does not accept ownership of the roadway and they resist the installation of the continuous roadway lighting, that they would move forward with a forced turnback. And that being the case, it would make sense that, if the referendum is successful and ADOT has been unable to move forward with the safety implementation of the continuous roadway lighting, that they would have good cause to initiate a forced turnback. Well, essentially, as I see it, the state is giving us 10 million plus, and so I am assuming that we would have to return that money, or any money that was unspent, and the preservation project and the light would proceed anyway. The one concern that I have at this point is, how is the referendum going to impact the timeliness of us moving forward? I'm concerned about putting a lot of staff and council time and financial resources into the planning of what we're going to do along that corridor without knowing what the outcome of the referendum is going to be. So we're a little bit of a quandary right now in terms of what do we do? We don't know. We don't know what the future is going to hold, and that referendum's the wild card. In the near future, we're going to find out whether they have crossed the first hurdle. I do know that the folks that are initiating the referendum have hired an attorney, and they have, are spending money on office space, and they're aggressively going after the referendum. So this isn't something like where somebody is just making a threat. This is moving forward. We'll see if they cross the first hurdle. If it fails at that point, then we can probably start a planning process, or we will.